In today's episode, we are talking about relationships with two of the most fun experts around. I'm Cameron. I spent years building my career and creating a life I loved. And when my Prince Charming finally showed up, he had 4 kids in tow. Fast forward through lots of mistakes made and lessons learned, step family life was much more complicated than I realized. If you're looking for help with blended family life, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Stepmom Diaries, where we keep it real as we dish about all the things. This is your weekly dose of blended family inspiration and encouragement. You're not the wicked stepmother, so let me help you find your fairy tale ending. Come on, let's do this. Welcome. I am so excited about bringing you today's interview. I am talking with Casey and Meygan Caston. They are the founders of Marriage 365. They are so much fun, y'all, and they both grew up in blended families, which I didn't know until we started getting more into the interview. But they have got a fantastic background for helping blended families and working with blended families, but they specialize in relationships. And if you're not following them on Instagram, you need to be. They're at Marriage 365. But they talk a lot about, a lot of the stuff that maybe you don't want to talk about out loud. They sort of bring it all to the surface and make people feel really comfortable in dealing with some of the hard stuff that comes up when you get married. So Casey and Meygan, they fell in love, got married, and started their happily ever after college. But in the first 3 years of their marriage, they found themselves facing really deep challenges due to some childhood trauma, stubborn personalities, and yes, poor communication. By year 3, they were on the brink of divorce, and determined to turn things around, Meygan embraced the advice, if you want a better marriage, it starts with a better you. She focused on her healing, on habits and boundaries, and she sparked a dramatic shift in their relationship. They were frustrated by how ineffective and costly therapy was for them, and so they created practical tools and resources to help couples strengthen their marriages. This inspired the launch of their Marriage 365 app, which offers affordable and convenient support for relationships, and they have helped over 100,000 couples reconnect and reignite their love. They have authored 5 books, they lead global marriage retreats, and they offer one of the top premarital courses in the U.S. They have now been married 21 years. They live in Southern California with their 2 teenagers. They enjoy the beach, card games, and walks with their dog. Casey and Meygan, we're going to dive right in. All right, Casey and Meygan, I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thanks for having us. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've interviewed a couple, so this is super fun on the podcast. I know.
It should be a lot of fun then.
Yes.
Well, and for y'all listening, you missed it right before we started. I was like, I need y'all to scoot over so that, we'll put some clips on social. And Meygan said, well, Casey smells really bad. He just worked.
Hey, real life.
Sorry to dime you out.
Yeah, behind the scenes of real marriages, right?
Yes, exactly. Which is why I'm so excited to have y'all here, because you, through your business, Marriage 365, and y'all, if you're not following them on Instagram, you really should, because it is fantastic. That's how I found them. They really talk about all the issues around relationships and marriage. And I have to tell you, your Instagram posts are so relatable. And I love that you guys talk about a lot of the things that, it's almost like saying the quiet parts out loud. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about things that I think people like to gloss over sometimes. And, you'll have a skit where I love the one, Meygan, where you go over and you put a pillow on the floor and you kneel down, and Casey's like, oh yeah. And you kneel down and then you turn around and you're like, rub my shoulders.
Yeah. There are so many stories where we'll get in an argument, or there'll be a moment and we'll look at each other and we're like, okay, that's a really good reel idea, because I think we're not the only couple who have moments like this.
I love it. And you're definitely not. So let's start, this is an interesting opportunity to chat, because you guys are not a step family, But Meygan, you grew up in one. And I think that the work that y'all do in relationships is so relatable for our stepmoms that are listening and our step families. So let's go back. How did you guys meet? You've been married for a really long time and you had a rough patch that ended up with y'all kind of recommitting. So tell us about your story.
So Meygan and I met in college. I was part of the freshman welcoming committee and Meygan was an incoming freshman. So it was very easy for me to say, you need a private tour. And
that's not creepy at all.
I thought he was cute, so I let him give me the private tour.
I was so Meygan was so beautiful and so hot. I was so nervous. I actually forgot her names several times when I first met her. So I was like, hey, what was your name again? And
then like 2 minutes later, wait, what was your name? And typically when a guy's into you, he does not forget your name. Yeah. But he was you were Twitter-pated.
Yeah. So we dated, and dating is so much fun. I mean, it's all the fun stuff. It's the walks along the beach. It's the going to the street fairs, doing fun stuff together.
It's a lot of newness.
Yeah, it was new discoveries. And then we got married. And that's when things changed. And actually the parts of us that really connected when we were dating was the fact that both of us grew up in broken homes. Both of us had this like family trauma. And it was almost like we saw each other's pain. But little did
you
we
did
know,
too, Casey. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I knew you did. Okay, that's great.
Actually,
it's not great, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. There's actually 12 marriages between both sets of our parents. Between us.
Wow.
12. We're extreme blended family, step family.
Yeah. So Cameron, my mom's been married 6 times.
And my dad's been married 3 times. Yeah.
Wow.
And my dad ended up marrying the mistress that he had an affair with on my mom.
And my mom is still connected with her third husband. They had a kid together, and every husband along the way, I've had step and blended families. It is like a lightning bolt for our family tree. It's got so many different branches.
And like Casey said, I think when we were dating, they call it trauma bonding. I think that trauma and those experiences actually really brought us together because we knew how it felt and we didn't want that for ourselves. So it was like the hope and the desire to have this amazing, happy marriage was there. But then once we got married, we realized we had 0 tools, skill sets, knowledge.
No examples, no mentors. It wasn't like we could turn to our parents. I could turn to my mom and say, how do you stay married? Like, it was so clear right away. Mm-hmm. I wasn't an angry person. I never got angry at anybody in my life. And all of a sudden, here I'm shouting and screaming at Meygan. And that was like pretty much the first 3 years was just explosions.
Wow.
And it really came down to this. I had some expectation that Meygan was going to soothe the pain that I never took care of. And that right there was the biggest aha, I think, if I look back in those years, it was my responsibility to deal with the pain of the past and my childhood upbringing, normalizing toxic behaviors. That was my responsibility, but I put it on Meygan. And when she let me down, great was my explosion and expression of frustration.
Yeah. Casey's a very extreme person. So either we're both stubborn. We're both prideful. We're both, extroverts and all that. But I think like for me, I'm more of a steady person. And so part of my story is when my parents divorced, I was in junior high, which is like, I feel like the worst time because I was already going through puberty. I was starting to really act out. I was very close to my dad. And so when he moved out, it just was devastating. But thankfully, my parents had me go to therapy. They forced it. And they had amazing. Yes, I'm so grateful. And they had gone to therapy for years and years. And I remember getting babysitters and watching them go to therapy. Obviously it didn't work, but I'm so grateful that I went because I had a safe person to talk to cry to process everything with. And so I had definitely, when we got married, I was still hurting and had my own pain, but I had gone through a lot already on my own. And so by the 3rd year of our marriage, I hated this man. I mean, I wanted to divorce. He wouldn't divorce me. So went and saw a therapist on my own, which I recommend any listeners, you know what, if your spouse won't go with you, go on your own, right?
We are big fans in this house. I love therapy so much.
Just make sure you find the right therapist because unfortunately, just like there's bad doctors and bad teachers, there's also some really bad therapists that will give you bad advice. And I'm going to share with you my amazing therapist and what she said. So I complained to Casey about Casey for 30 minutes or so. And she just said, if you want to make a better marriage, make a better you. And she could have in that moment said, your husband has all these red flags. You should leave him.
I did have a lot of red flags.
Your husband sounds like a narcissist. Because I had painted him in a pretty bad picture. And that's an example of the stories that we hear at Marriage 365 of therapists blaming, shaming, or labeling someone that they've never even been in their office before. I'm like, you can't do that. And so that's just not accurate information. You're getting one side of the story. And so she said, it sounds like you've got a lot of stuff you need to work on. And that's what I did. I worked on my marriage for 13 months by myself. And I did a complete 180. And I was like, no matter what happens in our marriage, I need to live out our wedding vows and I need to get healthy. And you saw the change.
Yeah. Meygan set up boundaries and no longer did she tolerate the screaming and yelling matches. And it was almost like waves hitting up against a levee. Like she was solid in those boundaries and it changed the dynamic of the way we interacted. I remember walking into the room and I was super frustrated with her, probably something silly. And my face I was just like coming at her. And she just was like, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. But right now I feel like you need to go just take a walk, cool off. I'll be sitting on the couch waiting for you when you return and we can have a productive conversation.
Amazing.
I was like, what? But it was her change in the relationship that started to slowly shift and realize, like almost like a mirror, like I'm now the unhealthy one. And I think because we're so competitive, I was like, I'm not going to let her get away with that.
And so you knew that she had been seeing a therapist on her own and you started noticing the changes, or was she kind of like, hey, this therapist is giving me a bunch of tools. We're going to start, like, how did y'all kind of work through all that?
Yeah, no, I don't think she said, here's the tools that I'm learning. Oh, no. She just started to change. Yeah. She changed right in front of my eyes. It was
I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people make when they go to therapy. They talk. They tell their kids, I'm going to get better. If your actions don't follow, you're going to look like a big fat liar. And I had a lot of change I needed to work on, a lot of softening of my heart. I wasn't getting apologies. I wasn't, by any means. And I learned to be able to forgive him no matter what, because hurt people. I could start seeing when he would get angry. I'm like, wow, he's just really hurting. Not an excuse, but again, that's where the boundaries come in, right? Because it was like, okay, you can hurt, but you can't hurt me in that. Like you can go and sit and stew all you want, but I'm going to protect my own self and still be compassionate and caring because we're human beings. And so, yeah, after 13 months, he noticed the change. And then I always tell people, it took 2 years to fall in love and date and get married. It took 3 years to destroy our relationship, completely destroy it. And then it took about 4 to 5 years to repair it. But we've been married 21 years and the last decade has been phenomenal. I mean, overall, we still fight. We still have our issues. We still fought right before this podcast. So let's be honest. But we have the tool.
You stink, Casey.
I was like, babe.
I was going to say, was it about the smell?
Yes, it was not the smell. I was like, I have to sit next to you for the next hour. Come on.
You smell good.
Actually, inconsideration is one of our biggest fights because I feel like, right, babe? I feel like I'm someone that
let's get into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm someone where like people who are considerate, like it's probably one of my top 5 values is I think being considerate of other people, not people pleasing, but just considering other people's
absolutely
thoughts, processes, knowing your audience, right? Like, hey, like this person just dealt with something really difficult. Let's not be so sarcastic.
So let me give you my side of why I made fun of her for getting help and why I didn't get help, because probably my earliest memory that I have in this life is actually watching my dad drive away and realize that my family was never going to be the same. And I had this recurring nightmare, probably for several years when I was like 5 to 10, where I would be in a car with my parents and they were fighting up front and we would come to rest like on a train track. And I would be trying to fight to like try to help them out and save them. And then the train would hit. And that's when I'd wake up. And it was this constant like fight for me to save or do something to bring my family back together. And then my mom gets remarried to a second husband and he didn't know how to treat me. Then it was the third husband and he had a kid from a previous marriage and they had one together. And all the while, just this feeling of abandonment. So there was a lot of, if I needed something, I needed to take care of it myself. I was a last kid. My mom was full-time working. No one ever stopped by and said, hey, Casey, so how are you dealing with all this change? So I didn't have any sort of skill set to like self-soothe or to like evaluate.
Process.
Process. So obviously when we get together, I mean, again, dating was the easy stuff. But then when you're trying to work out budgets or be accountable, or I want to spend my money the way I want to spend it.
Or I want to not shower before I'm on a podcast.
I want to do my own thing. And that's basically, that was the skill set that was given to me that was never processed for consideration of others because no one was ever considerate of me. So I also was in a highly conservative religious background where the pain of the past was quickly covered with platitudes of, well, just pray about it. Or, you know what, everything's golden at the foot of the cross, you know, kind of a thing where everything's forgiven. So just move on. And so therapy would be stuck in the past. So why would we ever do that? I did not know how to. I had a desire to connect with Meygan and be with her. And I wanted our marriage to work out. And then I was told, well, you just need to pray about it. So I was like, all right, Jesus, change Meygan's heart because that will make everything better. But it didn't. I just was praying for a great marriage, like as if from the sky would open up and a dove would fall on our apartment and it would just be a perfect marriage.
He even gifted me for, I don't know if it was our anniversary or Christmas, the power of a praying wife.
Yeah,
and was like, you need this. And I'm like, wow, okay. Oh, yeah.
So we had some religious baggage, childhood baggage, and that was, you know, a lot of the reasons why we were a train wreck.
And so Meygan gets therapy, and Casey, you kind of see her going through all these changes. And so at a certain point were you like, okay, clearly I'm the problem. It's me. You know what I mean? Like, were you kind of like, okay, I gotta match. I gotta match where she is.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't have enough money for therapy together. There was only a certain amount of time we could do that and afford that. We didn't have any mentors. So I think that it was a struggle bus to just try to figure this out on our own and really kind of research and do some like armchair quarterbacking of like, how do we fix this? How do we fix this issue?
Yeah, but we're both problem solvers and fixers to the core of who we are. Like, we are very like entrepreneurial, and we want to like find solutions to things in general. Like, there must be an easier way, like even for something with the house, like it's like, oh, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a gadget out there. So I do think that once we kind of said, okay, we've got this, our parents are not in a great state, we could call it quits and start over again. Absolutely. But like, what if we try this? And what if we really put an effort? Once you start putting an effort, if both people are doing that,
it kind of motivated us.
It's very motivating. And you're like, oh, and then we'd see like a quick win, like, hey, we normally would fight about that. We didn't fight about this.
What did we do?
What did we do? And then that's really honestly how Marriage 365 came about, is we were creating our own resources for young Casey and Meygan who were struggling, who were hurting, who were in pain. Like, what did we need in this season? And our friends and family were like, you guys are onto something, because we all thought you were in a divorce. And the world needs these tools. And I mean, there's a larger story, of course, behind that. But that's really something that we do every day. We wake up and we love to problem solve and fix and go, gosh, you know, we thought about this. We argued about this. Is there some kind of step, tool, guide, worksheet that we can create, not just for us, but for other people?
Hey there, stepmoms. I know you're juggling so much. You are trying to connect with your stepkids. You are managing dynamics with your partner's ex, all while you're figuring out your role in a family that didn't start with you. It is exhausting. So I want to know, when was the last time you did something just for you? I know it can feel like you are stuck on this merry-go-round of chaos that you can never quite step all the way off of. And it can feel like no one else really understands all these unique challenges that you're up against. which is exactly why I am inviting you to Stepmom Live, January 24th to 25th in Alexandria, Virginia. Because you know who gets it? Other stepmoms. That's right. We are going to have 2 days of insightful workshops, expert advice, and 100 stepmoms in one room together. Stepmoms who get it. You are going to leave with tools and strategies that you can use immediately, plus a renewed sense of confidence and connection. Next time the ex talks trash about you to the kids, you know what to do. When your spouse doesn't back you up on house rules, you'll know what to do. Stepmom Live is going to be jam-packed with all the goods. Plus, you're going to go home with a ton of new friends who know exactly what you're going through. So head over to stepfamilySolutions.com/Stepmom Live to reserve your spot. I can't wait to see you there. I love that. That's exactly how I got into the step family space. Yeah. And it's, it ends up just feeling you almost feel selfish doing the work because you get so much out of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
So tell me, we talked earlier, I mean, you guys do bring up a lot on your social media and, with everything that you offer about a lot of the issues that people don't necessarily want to talk about in public, like different sex drives and, things that don't always come up. What are the things that you see, like the couples that come to you? What are the most common things that they're struggling with? Is it that, kind of the stuff they don't really want to say out loud, but they feel comfortable saying it to you and,
People are very vulnerable in our DMs.
They are.
It's like,
yeah. I love that. They feel safe.
Very safe.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Sometimes it's quite vulnerable, actually.
And I hope they know that Meta can see all that. I'm like, we're never going to share it, but I feel like Meta can see everything. They're probably listening to us right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I will go. I will say that one of the things that I see the most of, we see the most of, is couples who put their relationship on autopilot and they slowly drift apart. I would say that's the mass majority, more than kind of the niche, like, oh, well, I have a low sex drive and my husband has a high sex drive and we're struggling. Like, not to say that that's not another issue as well, but I would say the mass majority of couples that are struggling that we reach, it's autopilot, checked out, emotionally lazy, kind of just going through life and going through the motions, kind of putting their marriage on hold while they're raising their children, thinking that one day they will have the time. And of course, you cannot pause your marriage. You can never pause it or you're losing it. And so that would be, I would say that. Do you think that's the number one?
Yeah. And I'd say a close second is people that are stuck in pain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they are wrestling with something that happened in their relationship, could be years ago, and they don't have the tools to resolve that. They don't have the tools to walk through the process of forgiveness. And I would say the number one thing that I personally, that I experience is there's something that happened that they do not let go of. And now everything that happens in their relationship is kind of viewed through this window pane of pain. This filter of pain that even if their spouse does something nice and caring and considerate, there's pain and they don't allow it. And so that unforgiveness puts them in a stuck position. And oftentimes, they're waiting years, to reach out for help when it's painful enough for them to do that.
Or their children see it where they're like, Mom, you're really angry. Or I see the way you and Dad talk to each other. Yeah. And then that's just a whole motivating factor to go, okay, now our kids are seeing that and they're feeling that. And I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm listening and I feel like the stepmoms listening today are just nodding their heads because I think both of those issues play out so much in step families. It's, you guys know firsthand the difference between, a step family and a first family. You kind of get thrown into the deep end, right? Like, I know we came home from our honeymoon and like had custody of the kids the next day. So like, it's not like a first family where you have time to kind of get to know each other and work some of this stuff out before kids are in the picture. And so it's really easy to start off putting your relationship on the back burner because you have all this other stuff that comes up, and especially like if you have a high conflict ex or, kids that are acting out or having issues or whatever. So how do you talk to couples about, I talk with stepmoms a lot about putting themselves back on the front burner and taking care of themselves, but how do you talk to them about that relationship and getting their partner on board? Because a lot of times, there's been this huge trauma to the first family. And, the step family has formed out of loss, really. So you have all of these things kind of swirling around. How do you get back on track?
Yeah. The number one thing that we give advice, especially for step families, is the weekly marriage business meeting.
I love the business meeting. Yes.
Yeah. We, and I say first family, it doesn't matter. Any couple should do it, whether even if you have kids or not, but sitting together once a week and going over the week and getting alignment, and that's actually when you schedule and calendar everything. So it's a logistical meeting. It's not a romantic meeting. It's not a deep emotional meeting. It's just logisticals. And so men can wrap their minds around that. They do that for their job. You don't go to your work and the boss goes, okay, Cameron, you're going to do this. And you're going to say, well, when's it due? I don't know. Okay. Do you have any guidance? Nah, just figure it out. No, there are boundaries. There are deadlines. There are due dates. Of course, that's what makes a business successful. So why would we not do the same thing for our own marriage and our own family and it's like running a ship, right? And so I think this is really important. That's when you would schedule self-care time. How you're saying, stepmoms listening, yes, can't pour from an empty cup, 100%, whether it's 5 minutes every day or you get an hour or a Saturday morning, whatever that is, fight for it. And also tell your husband, hey, I want you to have self-care time. This is not just a me thing. This is a both of us thing. And then this is when you calendar time together. And you're like, so when, babe, are we going to spend time together? And I always tell ladies, the best approach is to use the we language or I language. I miss you. I miss hanging out with you. I love spending time with you. I think you're sexy. And I know our lives are crazy and complicated, but I miss you. And we do so well together when it's just us. Can we plan time together this week? And I'm thinking and looking at our calendar and I'm thinking, oh, Wednesday night is open for an hour. Can we do something together? See how much more positive that is versus we never spend any time together. The kids just tell him you miss him, that you love spending time with him. Who doesn't want to hear that? It's great.
That's amazing. I mean, I guess the weekly marriage business meeting is the time to be able to iron out all the details and logistics of custody and kids. And for all the stepmoms that are listening out there, I just want to say I recognize and appreciate how complex life is. How complex the calendars must be if you've got, especially if you got two blended families where you've got his and hers coming together. And that complexity requires the business meeting because you cannot be reactive. You have to be proactive. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
On that.
And then I think the second thing I would tell someone listening is, I'm going to plug our book, but if it's not our book, use something like open-ended questions because, these are things where you get to have conversations that aren't about the kids, that aren't about, the blended family, again, not the logistical stuff, but more about the deep emotional things that you did when you were dating that drew you together. Because if you went on a date with your spouse, that first date, and you're like, hey, so tell me about your, family. And he was like, you'd be like, snooze fest. This guy's not.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later, right? No, you talked and you found each other so interesting that you continued to go on the dates, right? And you're like, okay, we have enough in common or we can have great conversations. Oftentimes in any marriage, step families or in first marriages, those conversations become, how was your day? How are the kids? What's for dinner?
Yeah.
And can we have sex?
Really transactional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
and boring.
And let's just remember that some of the mistakes maybe from our first family for most people is that we did not prioritize our marriage. And somehow we got off the rails. We didn't find that time for connection. One of us or both of us were distracted. We made the kids a priority or there was other interests that came first. But our first responsibility for this family is to keep the the mom and dad together and on the same page.
So you mentioned your book, Meygan. Talk to us about the book, because it seems like an amazing tool.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that would benefit step couples.
Yes. So the number one way to build emotional intimacy, closeness, safety, trust is actually through asking open-ended questions. Because through that process of asking someone a question, a couple things happen. You are sparking this curiosity. Like, I want to get to know you more. I want to continue to get to know you. Not just I knew you back then and we're just going to do life together. I want to continue to discover new things about who you are. And the nonverbal, the unspoken behind that act right there is actually desire. Like, I desire to know you. And I will tell you this. There's nothing sexier. There's nothing more attractive than when a partner comes up and says it in all their actions and everything about them. It says, I desire you.
Yeah, I want to know you. Like, I want to hear you. I want to see. Like, we all want to be seen, heard, known, valued, right? And that's what these questions offer. And, you know, this whole idea of this book came about because of the boring questions that we were asking each other. And I was just kind of feeling really stuck.
I mean, that's so the truth.
Yes, right? And you're like, gosh, we've talked about this. And I was kind of sick of talking about the kids, honestly. At the time I was a stay-at-home mom, and I'm like, I need to talk about something else than the kids, you know, or the house. And so Casey's like, wouldn't it be rad if we like came up with an idea where there was like connecting questions that we could just go through? And even when we started Marriage 365, like every single one of our videos always came with connecting questions.
That's
and so we put them all together in a book. And just recently, we had originally self-published, and it did so well. Penguin Random House heard about it and said, we would love to partner with you. And it just recently came out. It's an Amazon, Target, Walmart. But these questions are meant to really spark desire, and it's an intentional way. And again, going back to, there's something about men can wrap their mind around this book, because I don't know if you know this, Cameron, but 90% of marriage books are geared towards females.
I did not know that. That's fascinating.
They do that on purpose. It's actually a strategy because women buy more books than men.
Yeah.
Even then, specifically like relationship help books are still purchased more by female, and mainly marriage books are. And so the marketing, all of the messaging. And so when you're an author and you're partnering with a lot of like these publishers, they'll be like, well, we don't care about husbands, or we don't want to work. We don't worry about men. And we're like, well, that's not us. And so we're so grateful to work with Penguin Random House.
I'm hoping our book goes into Bass Pro Shop.
I love it.
Yeah, because we wrote this together, and we already have tried and tested it with so many couples. I mean, we sold and self-published on our own over 100,000 copies. I mean,
oh my gosh,
there's magic in the book. You know,
that's amazing.
What's cool is we've gotten all the stories back.
Yep.
You know, there's a huge feedback loop that came back to us of, you know, dating and engaged couples that are wanting to prepare for the future or ask the tough questions, but maybe they don't know how to. I mean, a lot of these questions are meant to be like bringing about more and greater self-awareness. And so what we've heard from a lot of people is, gosh, you know, the more self-awareness I have, the more confidence I feel, the better boundaries I can set. And there's a lot of couples that came to us and said, we're really bored. With each other, and we just need a spark, and of course newness from discovery, almost a sense of novelty again. And then we've also heard from hurting couples that have that a therapist gave them our book, and they were separated, and they started using the questions, and they felt like there was a safe space outside their pain that they could kind of build around, and then that kind of grew. That area grew as they kept asking questions. Yeah,
about 25% of our sales are actually blended families, by the way, because they're like, we don't want to fail again. We don't want to have to go through the trauma of a divorce, and we know and we want to course correct now. And so I love it. Yeah, it's really great.
That's amazing. And, you know, that doesn't surprise me about the blended families, because I think, you know, as much as, you know, you kind of rely on the, how was your day and, you know, all that stuff. One of the things I hear most often in cases where it's a high conflict ex, but I have stepmoms that are like, oh my God, the ex and the kids occupy every inch of our conversation. And we're talking about the ex like in bed at night. And I'm like, no, you've got to get it out of your bedroom. You've got to get that out of your bedroom. And so how great to have a tool that like you can pivot and say, you know what, we're going to set a boundary about when we talk about her, when we talk about the kids, and we're going to use this stuff,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that there's also a lot of fun questions. And so I always tell people, if you have a hard day, right, the ex is getting noisy and loud and has caused a lot of commotion, or the kids are just whatever, going through puberty. I don't know.
That's a great question.
I would say stick to a fun question. You want to read it?
Yeah. August 10th is, if you had to be on a reality TV show, which one would you be on and why?
But see how that has nothing to do with the ex. It has nothing to do with the kids.
Shark Tank.
Love that.
Yeah.
My husband would guess mine for me, which is one of the Housewives shows.
Oh, which is your favorite housewife? Now I'm curious.
I don't know. Beverly Hills, of course, which just restarted for the new season. Love them. Yes. Yeah, they're all though. And Vanderpump Rules. I had my husband came up after doing Peloton one day, and one of the instructors had been talking about, this was a couple years ago. One of the instructors had been talking about Scandival, and Craig was like, "Okay, what is this Scandival? What do I need to know?" And
oh my gosh, it's so funny. I love
all right,
it.
well, so Vanderpump, and I started giving him like the whole history of Vanderpump Rules, and he was like, "Okay, that's enough. I can't."
Yeah, he's like overwhelmed. Yeah. Well, okay, let me give you another example question, because I think this was a great idea to give people insight. When you were a child, what was the biggest lie you ever told? Did you ever get caught? So can you imagine the fun conversation? And you could have been 4 years old. I mean, and it's amazing to just see these couples and hear their stories and go, first off, these questions we've never asked each other. So they're all new. Most of them are new. And the questions can change year after year. So typically when you read a book, you read it once and you put it down. Maybe if it's a really good read, you'll read it, 2 times, 3 times. But this is a book where you get to pick up year after year, day after day, because there's a question a day. And then there's 2 bonus sections, which are really cool because there are questions about parenting for couples who are like, no, we need to be asking questions about that. There's over 50 in a bonus section. And then there's also faith and spirituality questions in the bonus section as well. So things to talk about. Yeah. So again, if you're not wanting to talk about kids and you're not wanting to talk, or maybe you're not religious, you can skip those because they're in the bonus sections, but they're there if you want them.
That's amazing. Well, I will put a link to your book in the show notes. So I definitely encourage everybody listening, go out and get this book. What an amazing tool for step families. I'm so excited. And yeah, Megan's showing it on camera right now. Meygan, Casey, this has been such a fun discussion. I feel like we could just talk forever, but thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. And I think we'll see you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, have us back.
I appreciate you, Cameron, putting out really good content for step families. I mean, we want your family right now to be your forever family. And I'm so glad that you're supporting couples in this way.
And the way to do that is to keep listening to podcasts like this.
Yeah.
Keep learning, keep growing, never stop. Don't ever get comfortable or on autopilot.
Growth mindset.
Mindset. Yep.
Such good advice. And I will tell you that, people that are seeking out help on this stuff, I always get the question, I feel like I'm a bad stepmom. And I'm like, you know what? You're here, so you're not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're looking to grow.
100%.
So also a bad stepmom would never question whether she was a bad stepmom, but
that's a good point.
Anyway, thank you so much. This has been so enlightening, and I look forward to continuing conversations. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
That's it for this week. If you've enjoyed our chat, I hope you'll help spread the word. Share this episode with friends and head on over to wherever you listen to podcasts and leave me a review. And don't forget, for more great stepmom content, head on over to thiscustomlife.com and follow me on social media. Just search This Custom Life on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Until next time, you keep being you and know that we are in this together. See you here next week.